What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. You guys already know what it is. It's draft season all year long, and we're actually in draft season now with the start of the NFL Combine, and I will have a full mock draft coming out once the Combine has concluded. It has been a while since we've recorded a video because, surprisingly, I actually have a life outside of this YouTube channel. So, yeah, it's been quite hectic lately, but I'm going to try and push out content when I can. Today, we are kind of just going back to the top of the draft order, back here with the Chicago Bears, who currently own the #1 overall pick in this year's draft. So we will get this thing started. The first thing we're going to do is take a look at any trade offers that are available. So the Colts, and this has been, a trade that's been mocked time and time again, where the Colts would trade up above the Texans to get the quarterback of their choice. And so what we're going to do here is we are going to trade with the Indianapolis Colts because, we're going to make the assumption that the Colts and the Texans will both be taking a quarterback, and then that would leave us with potentially our #1 defender on the board after Arizona, or our #2, and it's really close between Anderson and Carter. Now, the Carter situation is getting really interesting because we're not sure what his future is going to look like. I'm sure he'll be fine, but there's just a lot of questions in the air right now with that situation. So let's try and get this trade done. We definitely want 2 first-round picks in this deal. Could we get 2 twos as well? Yep, that looks really good. And a third-round pick as well. Maybe we could try and throw in some late-round draft choices as well. We could get a huge haul right here. I mean, is this too greedy? Let's try it. So we're going to offer this trade. Oh, my God, struggling. And they accepted it. Wow, that is a huge haul. So we got about 4 late round picks right there in this year's draft. We got the #4 overall pick along with their second and their third, and then a first and a second for next year. Look, you guys might think that this is crazy, but it's going to be a huge asking price from the Chicago Bears for the Indianapolis Colts because they're going to be competing with the Houston Texans. They're division rivals. They don't want, the opposing team in their division to get their guy. So this is going to be a huge trade whenever this goes down, if it does. So we are going to resume the draft. How this goes: Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Will Anderson right here. And so that leaves us with Jalen Carter. We're going to just make the assumption that his stuff will get cleared. We don't want to talk too much about that, but a good talent on the football field. So we're going to take him here. And we got an absolute haul for this #1 overall draft pick. Huge thanks for the Houston Texans for choking that away. Okay, very interesting situation right here because now we are back at the top of the second round despite not having our own second round pick here. What do we want to do? I really like Deonte Banks. I'm just not sure because you have Jalen Johnson, you have Kyler Gordon, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we want to get another boundary corner with Deonte Banks, even though I think that he is a phenomenal prospect. I have him in the top 5 of my cornerbacks this year. We could definitely go and get an edge rusher right here. Nolan Smith definitely boosted his draft stock with his 40-yard dash. I mean, one of the key elements to his game is that he can chase down the quarterback, and go sideline to sideline, keep up with anyone on the field. That is a huge plus for him. Anton Harrison is also someone that I really, really like at this point in the draft. I have him as my #1 tackle, as a matter of fact, strictly based off of his physicality and the potential that he has. I really like Anton Harrison, but he is a left tackle. We have Braxton Jones there. Our priority at this point is a right tackle. So, maybe a guy like DeJuan Jones would be really interesting. Not sure if he'll be there at our pick, but we'll see. So, what do I want to do here? Because you don't want to wait too long for certain guys, and then they might not be there again. We pick again at 54. I am leaning more towards Nolan Smith at this point. I really like Will McDonald as well. I actually have him and Felix Anudike-Uzomah higher up on the board for reasons that I believe they're more physical, and that's how you win these games. But, since we're around the Combine right now, and Nolan Smith just got a lot of hype and probably boosted his draft stock a bit, we're going to take him here at the top of the second round. We really need some edge rush presence, and we didn't get that with Will Anderson with our first pick. We got Jalen Carter, so we're really beefing up this defensive line, and we're going to make it hard on other quarterbacks and run games to go up against us now. Okay, Sitting here, DeJuan Jones is actually here, which is surprising. He's number 44 on the big board, number 46 at his average draft position, and he's here at number 54. And this is huge because, although DeJuan Jones does lack speed, he's got some serious size, and you can't teach physical traits, which is, the first thing that I think we have to look for in a majority of these prospects. But you watch him at Ohio State, the speed of other edge defenders can get to him at times, but more times than not, he really just holds his ground at the tackle position, and he makes it difficult. So what we're going to do here is we are going to take DeJuan Jones here out of Ohio State to be that right tackle for Justin Fields, protect him, and you have two staple guys with Braxton Jones and DeJuan Jones. Now, they're at the tackle spots, Jones and Jones. Okay, sitting here now, number 64 overall. Nathaniel Dell is becoming an interesting prospect. They have him as number 37 overall on their big board, 70.5 at his average draft position. So he's getting drafted slightly later than this. And UDK Uzama is another interesting one, but because we brought in Nolan Smith, I know we could use another edge rusher, but I'm not sure if I want to do that at this point. We have to look at all of our options here. Luke Weipler now is also someone that I'm leaning towards. There's not a legit center on this football team that I would feel confident about starting day one. So I am leaning more towards him at this point. I mean, we need to make it an emphasis, and we already have in this draft, to build through the trenches, right? Protect our young quarterback, give him time to throw, and then also on our defensive side of the ball, there isn't a ton of talent right now, but if we start from the front and work our way back, which, we already have some pretty good pieces back there, I think this team can really flip the switch here in 2023. So I am leaning towards Luke Weipler. We are going to take him here. I do have him as my number 3 center in this year's draft, behind Joe Tippmann at number 1 and John Michael Schmitz. But I really feel good about taking him here early, round 3. I think he has a lot of potential. We have 2 Ohio State offensive linemen now, and this is a player that can plug in and play immediately for the Chicago Bears. So that would be huge for us here. Okay. Pick 79, and we are going up to round 4 now. We have a ton of picks because we traded back with Indianapolis, and there's a high chance that the Chicago Bears could be picking this often in this upcoming draft. Now, guys that I really like at this point, I still like Nathaniel Dell, who's kind of just sitting here. I really like Sidney Brown, but there really is no need for a safety at this point. Eddie Jackson and Jaquan Brisker make a very, very good duo. We could take a look at a guy like Sam Laporta. This is a really, really strong tight end class this year. Not sure how you fans feel about Cole Kmet, but I just feel like there's so many positions right now that could use some upgrading. That just isn't one of them at this point in time. Travis Hodges Tomlinson would be a good slot cornerback. Is a little bit on the shorter side, so that could be concerning for some. I do really like Rashee Rice here, because I feel like this team still needs to give Justin Fields more options to throw to, right? Like Chase Claypool, okay, you can say all you want. I feel like we've seen enough from him. I don't think that he's going to break out into that dominant number 1 receiver like some of you guys think he will be because of his physical traits. Like I said, he's been in the league for 2-3 years now. We know what he can do, and it's not super effective. So I do want to bring in a guy to help Justin Fields in the passing game. I think Darnell Mooney is a solid option. Put him in the slot. He can also play on the outside, so there is some flexibility there. We could also go with a guy like Parker Washington, but Rashee Rice I do have in my top 5 as a wide receiver this year. And some of you guys may be like, damn, this is like crazy. Like, how do you have, certain players who probably won't even go in the first round? There's gems. There's gems in the late rounds, and I'm going to stay true to myself and what I believe in. And I feel like, Rashee Rice could really be one of those gems that we see here in the mid, maybe, late second round that I think could really blossom in the league. And, there's guys who are projected in the first round that I think are going to be bust. But if you're going to tell me every single first-round pick is going to turn out well, you're lying to yourself, because that's never happened before. So we have to take our chances here on guys that we think are going to be good and going to be bad. Rashee Rice is just one of those guys that I really, really like. He's a tall, very physical receiver, a dominant one at SMU. I think that if he can really put all of those physical traits together, be a physical wide receiver, high point the ball, and make the run after the catch like he's been doing at SMU, I think he could be a really, really good wide receiver in the league. Now, a lot of these guys that we've been talking about just still sitting here on the board, but just not feeling super interested about all of them. A guy that I would have liked to pick up that we saw earlier right below Rashee Rice was Demarion Overshown. I think that he is a project linebacker that possesses a ton of, talent. That's the word that I was looking for. Really, really athletic linebacker, really good instinctually. So I think that he would be a solid pick at that point. Ooh, Jacorian Bennett. Now, this is a guy that really, really, boosted up his draft stock after his 40-yard dash, where I believe he ran a 4.31. So that is huge right there. And he would be playing in the slot cornerback position. I honestly don't mind this pick right here. And there are a couple guys down here that we'll get to in a minute. I'm assuming they'll be there at 134, really crossing my fingers for it. So what we're going to do here is get ourselves our slot cornerback here. And I think he did a phenomenal job, at the combine. And he's really drawn some attention towards his name at this point. Okay, damn. This is one of the guys I was looking at. Isaiah McGuire, another guy that I feel like is being really, really slept on. I think he's one of the more physical guys in this year's draft. What could we go with here now? Very interesting. We could go with Chase Brown, keep him in Illinois, because David Montgomery is a free agent, if I'm not mistaken. And we could use another running back to complement Khalil Herbert. Chase Brown was really, really effective at Illinois. Dwayne McBride is someone that also people are really high on. Even Tank Bigsby. I think I would lean more towards Tank Bigsby at this point. And I think that's what we're going to do. I think Kobe Turner is another guy that I really like out of Wake Forest, but we have a good interior now with Jalen Carter. Yeah. So what we're going to do here is we will take Tank Bigsby to close off this 4-round mock draft here for the Chicago Bears. Got a ton of picks. Got an A+ for that trade, and I think that is the grade that we deserved right there. And then we got Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, so back-to-back Georgia guys. Then we go back-to-back Ohio State guys in DeJuan Jones and Luke Weipler, really building through the trenches to start off this new regime here for the Chicago Bears. That's the way that we want to do it. And then attack the skill positions after, right? So you have Rashee Rice, Jacorian Bennett, and Tank Bigsby. Look, you guys might say, we got a D+ grade for Bennett, and maybe you don't necessarily need him. But at this point, right, it's good to acquire depth players in the later rounds, the day 3 guys, right, and guys that could potentially be starters. And I think he has so many physical traits that I think you could really rely on. I mean, he's got the speed, obviously, and then he's also got the length in terms of his arm length. So I think that he can be a really physical cornerback, and he can keep up with anyone in the league. So I think that would be a huge plus for us. And if he doesn't start, I think down the road he could potentially be a high-impact player. And then Tank Bigsby would also be a part of that depth at the running back position, because there's question marks on whether David Montgomery will come back in free agency. So this is the Chicago Bears 4-round mock draft. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Again, we're going to be pushing out draft content and more mock drafts as it gets closer and closer. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Most importantly, consider subscribing. We're on the road to 600 subscribers. And until then, I will see you guys all later. Peace.